Hi, I'm Charles Galda, your host for Vision New England's Church in Action program. This week, I'm talking with Reverend Clyde Talley. Clyde pastors Belmont AME Zion in Worcester, Massachusetts. He also leads the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance. Clyde, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks for the invite.
So for folks who didn't hear the last episode, because I think it's been a little while, for folks who didn't hear it when you were on last time, can you give us a little bit about your background, who you are, how you came to be in Worcester serving at Belmont?
Okay. Well, I've been in Worcester for about 18 years, and I came to serve at Belmont because in our denomination, the bishop decides what churches the pastors go to. And so Belmont is actually my fifth church that I've pastored. I have pastored in Great Barrington, North Adams, Cambridge, Amherst, and now Belmont. So again, this is the fifth church that I pastored. I've been there about 17 years. And I lead the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance. I also have a nonprofit. Well, it's not my nonprofit, but there's a nonprofit where I serve as the president and chief executive officer, and it's called Yes We Care. It operates within the church as an outreach to the community because the church has the space that is needed to serve the community. We run a food bank, as an example, among many things, that feeds over 1,800 people a week.
Wow.
And so so it's a large crowd that comes every single Friday. And they line up as early as 5 o'clock in the morning just so they can get a spot. We open at 12. So that shows you the need that people have. Yeah.
And so did you set that up as a separate nonprofit because then that enabled you to get grants from secular organizations as well, but still have it be the outgrowth of your faith?
Absolutely. And that was strategic because while the church operates and they're known for doing outreach to the community, that's what a church does. However, funders, they're saying, well, yeah, we like what you do, but we don't fund churches. Yeah. So to start a nonprofit that's separate and apart from the church, you can still do the work, but now funders will look at it as a separate entity that they can fund because it's not a church.
That's great. And so tell us a little about Belmont. When did it start? And how long has it been around? What I know it's known for outreach in the community that you just talked about, but what other things would it be known for?
Okay, so Belmont actually is the first Black church in Worcester. It was founded in 1846, and it originally was called Zion Church, and that's what it was known for. Then it was known for AME Zion Church, and it had evolved throughout the years, and it got the name Belmont when it was physically located on Belmont Street here in Worcester. So hence it was called Belmont Street AME Zion Church. So since its foundation, Belmont has been very active in the community and also in civil rights and also in community activities historically. The other thing that Belmont's famous for is that we entertained Mahalia Jackson when she came through Worcester.
Oh, wow.
She did a concert at the church, which I thought was interesting because I found an old program with her name on it, and it said that it was at Belmont AME Zion Church. And I was like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So Belmont's connected, and it's well known in the city for its progressive stand on civil rights and also people who are overlooked, underserved, and need attention. So that's historically been Belmont's banner, looking out for people.
Now you labeled that progressive, but you didn't list a word there that wasn't just flat out biblical.
Oh, right. Exactly.
And so now, are there some other histories, some other figures that may not be as well known as Mahalia Jackson, but there's some other figures or events in your history that were significant for Worcester?
Well, for the church's history, it was very instrumental in making sure that Black people stepped up to vote and getting people out there to vote and being a central key player and making sure that happens. Belmont has also been active in ensuring that Black people are represented in civil jobs historically and advocating for that. and also for just justice in general for the people.
And did Frederick Douglass ever make it over to Worcester? I don't know my history that well. I know he was very active in greater Boston area, but did he make
Well,
it?
actually, actually, Frederick Douglass, he didn't make it to Worcester, but he was in Attleboro, and
Okay.
he was a member of the AME Zion Church, so he was a part of our denomination. Also, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, who donated all of her assets to the AME Zion Church over in Auburn, New York, and even Dr. King's wife, Coretta King, she was a member of the AME Zion Church. So you have a lot of historical figures that are also connected to the church as well.
Do you know Dr. Grover in Boston by any chance at Charles?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
he told me, I was there not too long ago for breakfast, and he showed me the pulpit where Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth preached.
Wow.
That's in his church.
Wow. Wow. I had no idea.
I didn't either. I'm like, that is so cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I love history and significant people like that, and so that's really cool. So now the other thing that we haven't touched on too much is the Black Clergy Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? Beyond what the name would denote, but what is it? What do you guys do?
Okay, so the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance initially was formed as a place where the Black pastors could gather and work together and unify, because there weren't a lot of when we initially started, there weren't a lot of Black churches in Worcester. So one of the things that somebody decided to do, and I think it was Reverend Herman Hargrove decided to do, and maybe along with another pastor, I believe Reverend Wright, is let's have a group where the Black pastors can get together, support one another, encourage one another, and also share programs that we have amongst our churches. And so we were initially formed on that premise. And as the Black churches grew, the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance grew. We have about 15 churches that are listed with the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance. And we've been going since the inception. And so what we've done is have a monthly meeting where we discuss concerns and things that are happening in the city. Where can we be of help, either as an alliance or as a group of churches or even an individual church? What can we do to be of help to the people in our community? And of course, our congregation members, because they make up the community. So we discuss different things that are happening in the city. We collaborate on events every fifth Sunday. We have a unity event where we invite the community to have one worship. So all different denominations getting together for this one service every fifth Sunday where we unite in service. So you have this one service with all the different denominations across the city, which is exciting. We also have an annual picnic that we put together to invite the community so that we can have a nice social event where everybody can get together, know each other, and know the churches as well. And anytime that there's been something happening in the city where we need to advocate for our community members, that's when we get together, participate, and even lead certain events that are necessary where we need to be represented. And we've also been support to each other, because sometimes some churches meet with some struggles where they need some financial assistance or just mutual support or just general support that they need for what they're going through. So we have been a resource for that as well. It's a strong group of pastors, and we have mutual respect for each other. And the thing that I love about the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance is that, nobody walks in with their denomination. When we meet as pastors. And also it's a great resource because sometimes pastors go through things that you just can't talk to your congregation about, but you can talk to a fellow peer because they understand. Yeah. They're in the same seat. They know what you're going through, or they've been through it. And then they can offer some advice. Well, that happened to me, and this is what I did, or this is what worked for me, type thing.
or this is what I did, and don't do that because it did not work.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Right.
of course. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, you learn from your mistakes too. Right.
And so so now we keep saying Black Clergy Alliance, and so do white churches or do majority white churches, Latino church, do others plug into the stuff you're doing, or does it stay pretty much it's majority Black churches?
Well, actually, even though it's labeled the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance, we don't discriminate if somebody who's white or different race, Latino, whatever, wants to be a part of the Worcester Black Clergy Alliance, then they're open to join. And we had a Latino pastor for a long time until he moved out of the city. He had joined. He says, "Well, the reason I joined is because I like what you guys are doing, and we have some of the same struggles, and I can relate to you guys better. So I want to be a part of the group." And he was there for years, like I said, up until the point where he moved. So we don't stop people from joining just because they're not Black. Everybody's open to join. That's just a label that it started with, and we just pretty much kept it.
Yeah. And there are some cultural differences between majority white churches and Black churches. So there are some unique things I assume you guys deal with, but a lot of what you're dealing with is just urban ministry too.
Exactly.
So I know when I'm in, I've been part of the Black Ministerial Alliance in Boston. David Wright, who you know well, and there's plenty of white pastors who are part of it because they're just in an urban context, and so we share the same kind of issues. And
Exactly.
so what are, if you would say, hey, here's the top 3 issues we're dealing with this year, what is that? What's top of mind for you? Not for Belmont, but for the Black Clergy Alliance.
Well, there's several top issues. Of course, there's homelessness. That's pretty much rampant in Worcester, and looking for ways that we can be of help to the people. You have people. Another top issue is people just dealing with the increase in rent. So now they're struggling to keep a roof over their head. At the same time, utilities have gone up, food has gone up, everything has gone up, gas has gone up. And so we have these congregation members that are struggling just to make ends meet. So those are issues that we're tackling as well. And also food insecurity. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, is that an inflation effect or is that a gentrification effect, or do you have both going on in Worcester?
I think there's both going on because in Worcester, you got all these new apartment buildings that they're raising up, but the rent, it excludes by default certain people from getting in there because it's not a low rent apartment building. So by default, certain people can't afford it. So there's some gentrification going on there. But at the same time, inflation, people who've been in their apartment for years, now the increase in rent has got them to the point where they're now straining to keep up. You also have some where some developers have come in and purchased some existing 3-decker buildings and apartments and et cetera. And they tell the people that the rent's going to be raised. And if you can't afford it, we're going to have to move you out.
Yeah.
So somebody who's been paying, let's say, $2,000 for years for rent, the rent's now $3,000, and they're like, I definitely can't afford it. And then the new landlord is, well, you got to move.
Yeah.
And they have no heart, even though somebody's been there for 25 years. Now they're being forced to look for someplace else.
Yeah.
But the problem is that now that they're looking for someplace else, everything else has gone up.
Yeah. And so do you see people leaving Worcester because of that dynamic, or is it just they?
Oh, definitely. There are people who I know who have left because of that reason, but then there are some who like it here. They want to stay. So they're trying to make it work.
I've got a family support structure. I've got friends. I've got a church, right? So there's a lot that tie us to the community.
Right. And the other issue we're dealing with is the SNAP benefits, because you have to make a certain income to be eligible to receive SNAP benefits.
Okay.
However, if you get a promotion or anything that reflects an increase in your salary, even if it's an increase of $3, but it puts you over the limit, you're automatically cut or you're cut off.
Okay.
And that's what people are dealing with. So now I hear some of the congregation members saying, well, they wanted to give me a raise, but I refused because then they would cut me off my SNAP benefits. So it's not going to benefit me.
Yeah, the raise has to be big enough to make up for the SNAP benefits, or I just lost money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I assume that affects my hours too. And so
Right.
I might be able to pick up other hours and get overtime, but I'm going to turn that down too because of benefits.
Exactly. It's like a catch-22. It's there to help.
Yeah.
But then when you start doing better, it's like you almost get penalized from doing better because whatever increase you get, like you said, it's not enough. That'll put you over to cover whatever SNAP was going to cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the catch-22.
And so those are big priorities I hear you guys dealing with. Has that been consistent over time, or if I'd asked you that question 10 years ago, would there be a completely different set of issues?
Well, I think it has. Well, the SNAP situation has definitely increased over time because you got more people who are on it. Okay. So anything that happens with that, they're affected. Yeah. Remember the government shutdown where they said that they were going to halt the SNAP benefits, I think was November or somewhere around that time frame. I mean,
shutdowns ago. That's how we'll talk.
There you go. Right. Exactly. So that created panic throughout the city. And people, they were wondering, well, how am I going to feed my family? I'm dependent on this. What are we going to do? Yeah. And so that was a major hit to a lot of folks. And so that was like an immediate impact where we had to connect with the United Way, the Worcester Greater Community Foundation, and other organizations to say, hey, what are we going to do to address these issues? Because once again, these are the same people that are our congregation members. So we can't turn a blind eye and not help them because these are some of our own members that are being affected by these things. Yeah. So it's something we have to address. We have to help. And so, I know certain churches, I'm sorry, but I know certain churches have set aside some funding to where they can help on an individual basis as well.
Okay. And so it sounds like, at least on some issues, it's a natural way that people have started to work together. The churches have started to work together. It's not that like this outside thing. It's really providing a unity infrastructure in which all work together.
Exactly.
And so as you know, my corporate hat on, and I know you've been a marketplace guy too, is, well, that's good productivity and that's a good thing. But is there a theological point behind why you guys should work the way you do?
Well, it relates back to a passage of what the Bible says, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Unity is the key. We can accomplish so much more together as opposed to doing it separate and apart from the group, because you can leverage resources that you may not have, but another church, they have those resources, or people who are specialized in certain fields, in certain experience where you may not have that talent, but another pastor does, and they don't mind lending themselves, their folks to help you. For instance, when COVID hit and many churches, including ourselves, were forced to go online. Yeah. Now, prior to that, we were not online. We had no online presence. We had no social media presence at all, because for me, I'm focused on what's happening here and the people that are here. Yeah. But then once again, when COVID hit, everybody across the board, doesn't matter what size church you were forced to go online. If you weren't already, you were forced to stay online and get online so that your church would survive. Yep. So you had a situation where some pastors, they're like, we don't have anybody with the technical knowledge for us to even do that or to get on this platform. But another churches have been doing it for years. So they offered their resources saying, hey, look, I got a tech team. I'll send them over to your church. They'll tell you what to buy. They'll get you up and running. They'll tell you how to run the system. And that's the leverage you get from being as part of the group.
What I hear you describing, again, with our corporate hats on, is economies of scale.
Right.
We start to work as a much bigger organization because we don't all have to specialize in everything. We can leverage and cross-pollinate, share best learnings, all that kind of stuff. And so I always think about the verse, and you probably heard me say it before, John 17, when Jesus is praying for unity, which he describes when they are one like you and I are one, talking to the praying to the Father, then people will know God sent his son. So I always hear that as him praying for us to work exactly the way you're talking about, and that there's an evangelistic impact to that, because then people, God sent his son. And we have been doing a little bit of research with pastors around New England recently. And what we heard is young, unchurched people find collaboration between churches attractive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, it serves as a resource where you can brainstorm. I was thinking about doing this, or, I looked at this, I thought this would be a good idea. Or like you said earlier, what have you done that's worked? Because I'm trying to get these young folk in the church, or get them more involved, or to increase membership, or to have some meaningful programs that the church is doing, not just doing something to do it. What have you guys done that have worked? So we get to share and collaborate on those ideas. Or if a pastor saying, look, I'm having this special event, I need your support. If you guys can come by, ask your congregation members to come and support us, we really would appreciate it. So we can help in those ways as well.
Yeah. And I kind of can resonate with that, because Vision New England plays the same role in some regard too, where people call me and say, hey, we're trying to figure out this. I'm like, okay, you need to call Clyde Talley, because Clyde knows all about SNAP benefits and he's your guy, or he set up a separate 501c3 to be able to do this. So we basically strengthen the whole network. Or as a minister at another church said to me, she said, stop talking about networks and start talking about the body of Christ. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'm a corporate guy. Be patient with me.
Yeah, but networks are the body of Christ. We're all interconnected.
Yeah, completely. So she's right theologically in her terming, for sure. And so, Clyde, we got a couple minutes left. What's something that you've been seeing or seen, Belmont, BCA, your church, your family, whatever it is, what have you seen God doing someplace that you're like, that's really cool, that's exciting?
What I've seen is the light bulbs turn on. And what I mean by that is when people shift from religion to relationship, that's where the light bulb comes on. Because I always tell folks, religion is not going to save you, because I hold up a Bible and I say, okay, what religion is this?
Yeah.
And of course, people say, well, it's not any one religion. Okay, then, well, man created that. Man created the division amongst ourselves as it concerns following Christ. So if you join any religion, I don't care what it is, they always believe we have it right. We're doing it the right way. The others aren't.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. However, if you focus on relationship, that supersedes any religion, because now we're talking about direct communication between the Father and his children. And it's like, what do you want, God? What do you want me to do? So what I found is that people want to be taught. They want to learn. They want to learn more of him. Not what's popular, not what social media is saying, not what's the buzz or what's the tea in today's terminology of what's going on now. Yeah. I want to know the Father. I want to know how to have a deeper relationship with him. So what I'm experiencing, at least within Belmont, is people with a hunger to know more of the Father. What is God about? Why am I here? Why did he create me? What am I supposed to do? What does he want me to do? What does he expect from me to do? So they come with all these question marks in their head. And when they hear something that resonates with them, because I tend to be more of a teaching pastor, you see the light bulb turn on to where their whole demeanor changes. Like, That's it.
Hmm.
That's what I've been looking for.
And
That's what I need.
would you say you're seeing that? Because those are all great questions people are asking. Would you say I'm seeing more of that today than I would have been seeing 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Or has that been consistent over time? Are they asking different questions or are they responding differently?
Well, I believe I'm seeing more of it today. And the reason I say that is because with today's technology, people can fact check things within seconds.
Hmm.
And so they don't want to be fed propaganda. They don't want to be fed something that they've always been told because, and you see people on their phones in church. They're not necessarily texting. They're listening to what they're hearing and they're fact checking. Oh, it says that in Romans 8:13. Okay, let me look that up real quick.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay, that's what it says. That's what it says. Or when you use certain terminology, oh, yeah, what does that word exactly mean? Type thing. So because they want to get it.
Yeah.
And not just the younger generation, even us seasoned folk, to where people are happy. And I think some folks have gotten past that to say, but I want to be fed. I just don't want to feel good.
Yeah.
I want to grow. I want something that I can hold on to. I need some meat. I'm done with the milk. Give me some meat.
Yep.
Something of substance that will carry me not just Sunday, but throughout the rest of the week until I come again on Sunday. That's what I'm seeing. Seems to be a trend to where they're hungry, they're searching, they have this desire, and it reminds me of a Bible verse. He who hungers and thirsts after righteousness shall be filled.
Yep.
And that's what I'm seeing now.
And so that is so exciting because that resonates with themes we're hearing around New England. So I keep going back to something's going on here. And we've done research with data and all that kind of stuff, but there's something going on here. And that's just more affirmation of it. So that's exciting to hear. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thanks for making time for us today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your ministry and thanks for your friendship, Clyde. I'm really grateful to you.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite, Charles. I appreciate it. And thank you for your friendship and what you do.
This program is created by Vision New England, which accelerates evangelism by helping the church work in unity to make disciples, do justice, and share Jesus, so New England will be transformed by the love of Jesus. You can find additional resources and support our mission at visionNewEngland.org. We want to thank our friends at World Vision who are celebrating 75 years of God's faithfulness and trusting Him with a worldwide vision to end extreme poverty for children everywhere. Join us next Sunday at 2 p.m. on Life Changing Radio. Thank you and God bless you.
At Leadership Transformations, we believe that when you have the right resources to help you slow down and experience a deep and refreshing connection to God, you can become the discerning leader you know you are created to be. Friends, Steve Macchia here, and I have a free gift for your soul. It's called Pathways. Pathways is our weekly email aimed at offering you soul-nourishing content for the journey. It contains readings, prayers, spiritual practices, a link to the Discerning Leader podcast, as well as information about all of our upcoming soul care retreats, workshops, and online offerings. So head on over to leadershiptransformations.org today and sign up for this free resource. It will help you slow down and be more. God bless you, friends.